Hi, this is video log entry 147. It's about 12:30 p.m. CST. The reason why it looks a little bit dark in my room is because I don't have my typical light that I have. It's an overhead light with a fan on it, so that's why it looks dark. It's not nighttime yet. You can actually just see from the reflection of the buildings coming through my blinds and whatnot, because the sun is actually directly above us right now since, well, just noon. So, yeah, so I've been letting my head rest. I've been consuming random stuff, but, not pertaining to technology. I think my brain wanted a break from looking at that stuff, so I've been giving it some space. And I used to be the kind of person to criticize myself for not giving myself the necessary break so I can actually, be productive when it comes to actually moving in the right direction. You can't always be in that kind of mode, I guess. I guess right now my mode is kind of in a rest mode, so whatever. Again, this again, it's been 4 nights in a row and I haven't had necessarily the highest quality sleep, but it's enough for me to function. It's enough for me to do what I need to do for the most part. So I mean, I'm fine for the I'm fine. I have my tea here. I have a banana. I had some eggs, and I'm taking care of my body. I'm taking care of my body. I'm taking care of myself and my own health. So yeah, that's obviously the highest priority for me right now, is to make sure I'm in the right mental state. So yeah, I don't know. I say that I'm busy. I've been busy. I have been, I still have been, slowly kind of, reading through the documentation for NeoVim and Lua, and I haven't really, again, I don't really have I don't have a good idea of what I want to do yet when it comes to the plugin. So, and of course, I don't know. Again, like I said, I like to do a lot of things at once, and I've been juggling. And I also read a little bit last night, the book that I talked about, it's Maxwell and Faraday and whatnot. And I read a little section on Faraday and how he came into the scene, basically under some dude who was it Brady or something? Was it Brady? I think it was Brady. He was working under him as a lowly assistant, and he eventually gained recognition just kind of working under him, because apparently the guy above him was a quote-unquote superstar back then, in the scientific realm at least. So I think he was a big lecturer over at the Royal Institute, which is in London probably. And Faraday was under that guy, and he was apparently just his lowly assistant / proofreader that would do research for him too. And eventually Brady gave him the okay signal on just writing his own papers, and that's how he came into just being well recognized as a scientist back then. There was another word I was trying to think of, but I couldn't think of it back. Yeah, so I mean. So yeah, I think Faraday is, he's your classic underdog story, or your underdog trope, because he came from, I think, a poor family, and yeah, there was a huge chasm of status between Faraday and Brady, but I don't know how Brady found him. I think he was was he a blacksmith's son or something? He may have been a blacksmith's son. I don't know how he found him and how he brought him in, but I don't know, the way I read sometimes, I tend to get impatient with reading linearly, so sometimes I'll skip a few pages ahead and then go back, and a few pages ahead and go back, and just, I don't know, it's weird how I consume information. Yeah, so it seems cool. So yeah, of course, I'm hoping. I think Faraday was the one who he was the one who came up with an intuitive explanation of what fields were. And he eventually, I believe, after writing probably a paper on his idea of fields, and fields not necessarily being Newton's perspective of how he perceived fields to be instantaneous when information is transmitted from one object to another. Again, it's imagining Earth kind of being by itself, and then you plopping another object in that field, which then imposes a force on that object, and also the Earth imposing a force on that. It would be instantaneous for that object being plopped in, because the Earth already transmitted its information through the field. But the other way around, it takes a while for it to travel. And of course, people know about gravity waves. So gravity waves are a thing, according to Einstein, and his field theory explains it pretty well. yeah, so, and I think Faraday was also a firm believer in the fact that information didn't travel instantaneously, because then that would, again, it would it would invalidate locality. So I think they wanted locality, and also nothing. Locality is basically just says that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Any kind of information, including that kind of stuff. And it's true. It's true. I mean, for the most part, other than one thing in quantum physics, which is quantum entanglement, and of course, I've talked about this, and it can be metaphysically explained, but scientists don't like the metaphysical because you can't see it, right? It's not practical to think of things metaphysically because you can never really explain it through scientific experimentation properly. Maybe there could be an indirect way of doing it. I mean, you can probably create some kind of logical framework and whatnot, but it's scientists don't like that. They want to see with their own eyes, and they want to see it through the world that they're in. They want actual empirical data, right? Yeah, so again, like I've been, yeah, so I just went through Faraday for a little bit, and then who was the guy that actually, I think there was another guy who had a compass, and I don't know why it took him so long, but some guy was like, what if I put this close to a circuit, and then lo and behold, the compass was pointing straight at the circuit where perpendicular to the movement of the electrons. That's what electromagnetism is, because the magnetic field is perpendicular to the electric field, so. Yeah, so that took him a while, and I forgot it was like Lord something. Let me see. I don't want to forget this name. Wait, what happened? I lost the page. I was on the wrong page. Oh, he's somewhere in here. Is it the next chapter? I remember it being at the beginning of the chapter. A current carrying wire and setting the wire vertical, moving needle around it. Lost no time. They watch magnetic needle setting. Where is this? Where is the goddamn? Is it William Gilbert? They're very good to the present college physicians and became more. Oh, I guess it was William Gilbert. He was the first to actually study electricity and magnetism experimentally. But Heinrich Hertz did something. I guess they're talking about electricity and magnetism. Heinrich Hertz actually studied waves, or electromagnetic waves. It's not necessarily the same thing, I guess, because it's electromagnetic waves are the dual cause and effect mechanism, as opposed to just studying them separately. So Heinrich Hertz was the first to kind of like look at. He was the first to look at electromagnetic waves and how they're produced, and they can actually be produced from a alternating current. It has to be a changing electric field with respect to, an accelerating electric field. You can think of it like that. It's the DDT operator applied to it twice. So yeah, you can think of it as a quote unquote as opposed to it changing constantly. It's changing non-constantly. Yeah. So yeah. Does that make sense? Or like having a constant rate of change. Sorry, it's a non-constant rate of change, variable rate of change. Yeah. So yeah, and he was the first one to look at that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are two separate instances, and he was So that's as far as I gone with the book, which is fine. I mean, I tend to just Apparently that went right into my. That's good that my memory still somewhat works. I mean, I did forget William Gilbert, but I only looked at that page once, so. I'm probably So they have a chapter on induction, of course, and coils, of course. They have like these wires in coils because again the magnetic field is perpendicular to the motion of these electrons, so they create a positive feedback loop, I guess would be a good way to say it, because you think of a coil, right? You can think of like a circle on a 2D plane, and you can think of these layered circles on 2D plane, just kind of like a cylinder, even though it's not exactly it, but you can think of a helix kind of, it's along that cylinder, but yeah, so it creates a very strong magnetic field going right through. So that's actually, they're called inductors, and they are commonly used in just electronics, actually. It's like a very common modular used in electronics. And yeah, so I remember having to study RLC circuits and whatnot and all that, and having to solve the partial differential equation for that. And I also had I had a pretty big book on electricity, but practical. It's called Practical Electronics for Inventors, I believe. And it was pretty big. It was like 700 pages. It was like this, and it had basically everything about anything pertaining to circuits and being an electrical engineer essentially, and knowing all the math for that, which it can be pretty complicated. I mean, you have to understand AC. I mean, there's a lot. I don't feel like talking about it because my memory when it comes to electronics is a little bit hazy. And yeah, I mean, I remember some stuff, but it's not a lot. And I could probably go on forever. And I know I'm probably not going to be. Yeah, maybe I'm second guessing myself. I don't know. I just don't. I shouldn't have second guessed myself there. Oh well. Now I don't want to talk about it at all. So, yeah. Yeah. I remember studying rectifiers too. So rectifiers are cool. Rectifiers are actually commonly seen in cars and engines and whatnot, because they transition. They basically turn an alternating current into a direct current. Or is that called an alternator? Maybe that's an alternator. What's a rectifier? I think it's a part of the whole alternator. Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. You need an alternating current because, again, you're well, actually, I don't remember that. Why is that the case? I don't want to talk about that because I don't remember. I'm just like so goddamn tired, man. Like I need to give my brain a break. Trying to remember all this stuff, and just I'm going everywhere, so of course I don't expect me to remember everything if I'm just going literally everywhere. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at different back-end stuff too for servers, since I want to get into back-end development, and they have common server frameworks like Apache and Nginx, and I may look into that later. And I still need to get my film for my Windows, so I'm probably going to do that today. I'm going to get it through Amazon. I could go on a scavenger hunt and look for it throughout the city, but I don't feel like doing that. It's just like something I'll just cave in on getting it online as opposed to having to go outside to get it. So, yeah. I don't know, I'm just tired. I don't know if I want. Maybe I'll just keep this short like the other video. I'm hoping I can get my energy back because, I don't know, I have a lot of studying to do, and I also have to, this is really bothering me, is I don't remember. I mean, like, I know it's in the back of my head. It's just like my brain's just too tired to like actually collect it from my memory at this time, which is fine. And I tend to have a much more robust memory when I'm not in this state of just complete lethargy, which is normal, because like this is exhibiting the same characteristics as being depressed, even though not depressed. I'm just burnt out from just doing so much. I wouldn't say I'm depressed. Yeah, it's just burnout. and not necessarily. I mean, I think the side effect of burnout is that you have trouble sleeping too. So maybe I am going through a burnout phase. And I tend to, when I'm not doing anything, I tend to recollect some of my memories in the past, or reminisce on some of my past mistakes and the people I do back then. But that was a good chunk of my morning, actually. That was a good chunk of my morning. I don't know. Another thing is I keep the spoon in my mug, even though I don't have to. I mean, I'm lazy, so I just like walk as I'm stirring it. I just plop on my couch, so I don't feel like taking it off because it gets wet, and it's whatever. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just fucking tired, bro. And but you know, another thing is I told myself that I would actually, you know, post these videos every day. I want some form of consistency, and that's one of them. And my other form of consistency is just taking care of my body and actually eating and doing the bare minimum. That's my baseline, is doing the bare minimum every single fucking day, no matter how I feel in a given time. And then I can build off of like more fulfilling things, like the stuff that I'm studying right now and reading the history of electromagnetism. And I kind of want to, like, another part of me. I remember when during the winter, when I was going through another phase of just constant research, I really wanted to get into electronics, but then I just kind of dropped it because I didn't have the room to like bring in any kind of like microcontrollers and mess around with circuit boards, and I also didn't know of any workshops. But I kind of want to find a makerspace one day, just because I don't know, I think electronics is a really interesting field, and yeah, I think it's an interesting field, and I kind of want to dabble with it a little bit. You know, just play around. I'm probably not gonna be. I'm not gonna have like a serious project. Most likely, I'm more of a dabbler. But you know, maybe I will, depending on what it is and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. I think electronics is cool because it's like I like the okay. I personally like the part of electronics where I still can program. Like basically, embedded software engineering would be a really fun field to get into, right? Because you're kind of in between the hardware and the actual software, but it's not like where it's really close to like you can say bare metal or silicon or whatever, but you know, it's just above assembly code and whatnot, and that's like my sweet spot that I really like. I don't know, I kind of like it. I like the direct interface between code and seeing things do cool shit with light or whatever, you know, whether it's robotics or something else. I think it's pretty cool. But it also takes a lot of discipline and a lot of trial and error. Takes a lot of trial and error. But yeah, I mean, like maybe when I move out and I find my own place, I'm hoping my dream is that I'm probably gonna have a townhouse in a town or city somewhere, and I'll have like a huge library with maybe a garage with potentially a car, or maybe that garage, I prefer not to have a car, so I'd have that garage to be filled with like a desk and a bunch of like hardware stuff, and kind of like a maker space with a bunch of stuff that I've either found in like dumpsters or just along the side of the street or anywhere, just as material to collect, to maybe either recycle it or reuse it for something else, or just do something with it, you know, and either, or you know, get rid of it responsibly and properly disposing it and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want something like that in my life. I kind of want like at least a space where it doesn't have to be a garage, but you know, I kind of want my own study room too, like a big library, not a huge library, maybe about the size of this studio. Is that asking for a lot? I don't know. It depends on like, I don't know. I consider myself to be a voracious reader, so I probably, in the span of like 20 years, I have quite a few books, and a lot of them are reference books. They're not necessarily things that you like read, like these history books, and then just, you know, move on to the next. I tend to like having technical references and whatnot. So yeah, so I'm probably gonna have at least a wall full of technical references pertaining to computer science, physics, and mathematics. And I guess, yeah, I guess electronics would be like a sort of computer sciencey, so I'd probably have, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Or engineering, I guess I would have it all under the umbrella of engineering, applied physics. Yeah. That's my dream. That's my dream. One day. One day. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So I think I'm going to end this because I'm just kind of in my own head right now. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.